If you've been following along with this Bronco build, you know that I Coyote swapped it already and that it's got all brand new suspension underneath it, 6-inch lift. Everything is pretty much assembled, but it's in the mock-up stage. But what I'm ready to do right now is test fire this engine for the first time. I'm pretty excited about it. I do still have to connect the fuel rail, and I need to run a regulator. Where is that? I need to run a regulator. This is my regulator. I actually use an LS part for it. They run great. I got a bunch of fittings. I need to rig this up into a small fuel cell on the floor. Actually, I call it a cell. It's a 5-gallon bucket. I'm going to put fuel in a bucket, put the pump in there, run it up, and it'll bypass and regulate. I'll touch a few wires together over here, and this thing should fire into existence, and that's freaking sweet. So hang on a second. Let's see what happens. Well, I think we have fuel. Sounds like the ignition is happening. Let's find out. And provided I have the coils connected right, anyway. Oh, that wasn't down all the way. I don't think that would matter, but everything should be down. Almost had something. Not very much gas in that bucket. You know what that fuel pumps out of? 2001 Ford Escort. I just kicked the power wires. It also has no coolant in it, so that's about all we're going to do. But concept proven. I can now permanently install it and start to wire it to the ignition. Let's get going. So yeah, I like firing these up for the first time. I'm going to set this camera so if it was dark, you'd see fire coming out of that right there. Or at least blue flame. But this engine sounds fantastic. It's got real low miles, and I'm excited because I can start to wire it up permanent and run the permanent fuel lines while I'm waiting on some of the suspension parts. But it's really cool. I'm super pumped. I think I'm going to start it a few more times before I unhook all this temporary nonsense, which may or may not be a fire hazard, which I'm not going to talk about that. Hold my beer. Watch this, dude. Man, that sounds good. And I'll tell you, with every time you start it and then begin to drive it, the ECU learns. So these things get better and better as time goes on. So yeah, let me get this cleaned up. Now that I've got the motor started, I really need to get some of this interior stuff buttoned up. We're going to use this sound deadener kill mat. We're going to put it down over the entire floor. I'm going to start to run the main wire harness, but also I need to get this seat and these side panels out, these old dry unusable seat belts. And if you come around back, I've got to get this strip off. All of this is not put together right. It's just kind of screwed together. And if you see there in the corner, see that screw? That's not how you anchor this top. There's supposed to be bolts that are like that in this edge, and they're not there. So I'm going to clear the interior out and start cleaning it and kill mat the floor for sound purposes. And then we'll see what happens with the rest of it, what kind of hardware I'm going to need, how I'm going to make this top removable. There's going to be some sort of bracket that goes across the top so that it can be lifted by one man with an overhead chain fall or hoist. But yeah, there's a lot to do here and I got to get going. I got the seat out. As you can see, this carpet here, this is what we like to call apartment 101 carpet. Because back when we were kids, my dad, when he was still alive, he used to work at a apartment complex, and anytime there was leftover new carpet from the suites in the building, we would take it and use it for floor mats and, you know, apartment 101 carpet. These don't look bad. Door panel carpeting. I still gotta take these apart, get the cups in, get the armrests on, and obviously finish the dash, but there's so much wiring that it doesn't pay to put that together right now. These old hinges, that's under the stock carpet there, which I cut along this edge because it was rotted. So getting these out is going to be very important. I'm going to get the impact air, not that lame ass battery shit, and see if I can get those out. And then these also have to come out. Hopefully the bolts don't just break off, but these seat belts, they're so dry that they're not usable. And then I don't know how we're gonna recover that pad, but first things first, get it stripped out, get it cleaned, and get it kill matted. Wow. Well, it came out. It shot itself across the room, but at least it came out. See if we get lucky 6 more times. Bet those are hot. Okay, well that makes me reasonably happy. See about the rest of this crap. That's not the right size. Light a cigarette off that one. See if I make this face, it's a little better. It's trying harder. Woo-wee. Underneath, there are 2 very rusty nuts sticking through here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 sticking through there, and 4 here. So 10 of them, and holding back on the bottom isn't going to help because they're so rusty. They've been there since day one. These ones might have been changed at one point, but they look just like those. So I basically have to go outside with the grinder and grind the nut away so that I can peel it off and knock the bolt through. Then I can move these. I spoke too soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Bet there's gonna be 2 or 3 back here too. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 of them. Yeah, see you in about 2 hours. I don't want to put all my weight on that tailgate. Those straps look part near as old as I am. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this is not factory because this wasn't invented in 1978. This is called Rubitex, and while they had pipe insulation, they didn't have this peel and stick interior. This is like 1.25" Rubitex. It's for plumbing. It's for copper pipe. And then the way these are mounted, they're mounted underneath the, or on top of the Apartment 101 carpeting. Yeah. So if it was factory, this must have been new product, or maybe only the factories had it. But anyway, square tubing sucks. You shouldn't build anything strong out of square tubing. So, I didn't enjoy that. This is where it would be helpful to have a helper. Hey, go get those out of there. See you in a couple days. Yeah. I don't know. I can't tell if it was factory or not. I mean, it's kind of got the same covering, but the pipe insulation really throws me. So, I'm not sure. But what difference does it make? These are not being saved. This stuff is so old and dry, it would snap in the event of it. So I keep saying the seat belts are old and dry. Number one, they're super sun faded, and there's a rating on race car seat belts where if you go through tech inspection, they check the dates on your belts, and I think it's 3 years. So after 3 years of sitting outside in the sun, they consider them no good. These are 1979 or whatever. So yeah, these aren't sticking around. Not to mention all the hardware is frozen solid, and it's just crap. So we'll save the structures, and then some seat belts can be figured out later. I mean, realistically, if there was a bar that went from side to side, you could loop them through the seats and you'd have like 5-point harnesses, in which case, you know, you better have a roll bar, because being strapped in upside down is the last place you want to be. This ain't holding nothing but a seat belt. It ain't holding the truck up, for sure. So, don't do that. Anyway, let me get the rest of this mess out of here. Apartment 101. Here's the condition of the factory carpet. Oh yeah, lovely. Yeah, not lovely. Terrible. I hope there's no rust through this floor, because that's gonna add aggravation to my day. But honestly, from underneath it looks fine. It should be okay. There we go. There we go. That's solid, fortunately. No, it shouldn't be too bad. They're coarse. They're not actually threaded. I mean, they are, but they're not. Yeah, it's fine. Not a big deal. Interesting. Well, now I see why they just screwed these in, because you see this? It's like spot welded, but it's not. They just drilled holes in it and welded through it. There's supposed to be threaded inserts in this, and the reason that there isn't is because both sides of this truck were skinned. They skinned both sides of it. So the inner fenders are factory. The outers have been replaced. So while it's mostly original, well, it was before we started this, they did a good job. They're skinned, but these outer quarters were not original, which would explain the hurry up and shitty paint job, you know, to cover up the fact that they didn't really do very good metalwork. But at the end of the day, when this truck gets a proper paint job, you know, and even today it's 10 feet away, it looks brand new. So, you know, whatever. Nothing's ever perfect. Nothing's ever really done. So, yeah, non-factory, but that's all right. How many more? It's like the snap at the back. We'll shoot screws in this all the way around. But yeah. Those will clean up. That'll be fine. All right, if I had a helper, I'd get this top off right now. But yeah, I've done these before. I did it when I was young. I took one of these tops off and I was in here, I unbolted it and I stood up like this and I lifted it and scooted it gently back on the rails. Then I climbed out and slid it forward, picked it up with my head, I lost my balance and it cracked my neck. I laid there on the ground for probably a half hour thinking I was paralyzed until I crawled to my cell phone, which was brand new. It was a bag phone with a cord on it. I crawled over to my car and called my dad, and he came and got me, and I pulled a bunch of muscles. Fortunately, I didn't do any damage, but I learned my lesson. Do not take these off by yourself because it's just unwieldy. It isn't that it weighs that much, you know. If it was the size of a suitcase and had a handle on it, I'd throw it over my shoulder still and walk down the driveway, but we're not taking this one. I do need it on the ground so I can build some proper braces for the lifting mechanism that it'll eventually have. But now that I have everything apart, well, almost. What's all this business? Gross. Yeah, yuck. There you go. Now I gotta scrape it clean, wash it so the new shit sticks to it. All right. Anyways, enough crying about it, eh? Hopefully these will come out. Getting all of this off. these practically useless. That's an awful lot of cleaning. Still got to get some of that mud out of there. It's not mud, it's actually grease, or probably oil, but I got to lightly hit this so that it'll adhere better. But yeah, we're getting there. It's now almost 7 p.m. It's come a long way since this morning, I can tell you that. It's terrible lighting right now this time of day. Decent product. It just stops the bit of rust that was on the floor, its surface. It came from the window being down. That's just water that came in from sitting. But it'll be fine now. You got to go through and uncover all the bolt holes. And then when the carpet goes down, you got to find them and cut the carpet, because you can't just run a bolt through carpet. It wads it up and pulls the threads of the carpet apart. You can't even run a screw through it. Like if you go to put a screw through the carpet, it'll just wad up and then pull a line right out of the carpet, and you have to replace it. So you got to pre-cut all these holes. I don't have very many. I don't even want to tell you how many, actually. Sound like I'm complaining. I don't like interiors. I never did. I'm not an interior guy. This is a specialist thing. But a proper interior is big bucks these days. And there's like a 3-year waiting list. This is the last guy I talked to anyway. What I'm doing is I'm going to get this kill mat down everywhere I can, clean up the pieces that are usable. The dash will all be put together and everything will be functioning. New carpet and clean seats. It'll be a usable, comfortable truck, but a proper interior, yeah, that's a whole different bag of beans right there. So anyway, I have quite a bit to cover, so let's get going. These are the seats that I took out of the Bronco, and if you look real close, they are pretty damn dirty. I anticipate a solid several hours with a carpet cleaner or upholstery cleaner. And I'll try and get them as clean as I can, but they're old and they're not ripped, so they should come fairly clean. But that's got to be done. Started on this, and then some people came over and I got interrupted, but I got to finish this today, get all of this kill mat rollered in. Then over here you got these are the rear armrests, and this, which is really dirty, I'm gonna have to wire wheel it and clean it. And then you got these side panels, which I don't know if you can see, they're also filthy dirty and smell like mouse piss. So those have to be cleaned, but not yet, because I need to finish this coffee. I get asked all the time, why don't you like interiors? What's the big deal? It's just carpet. Nah, it's finish work. Finish work is difficult because you need, not on this particular truck, but on most custom interiors, you need to do fiberglass work, which takes hours and hours to build custom contours. I'm talking days in some cases. And then really for fabric and fit and finish, for seat covers and all that stuff, you need proper commercial sewing equipment. And then there's all kinds of specialty tools and techniques that an interior is a big deal. I suggest that a good interior is more difficult than getting an engine to fit in an engine bay and wiring it up and making it run. There's a lot to this. I'm glad this one isn't quite that complex, but that's why I don't like interiors. I also don't like finished carpentry in the house, the trim around the windows and around the molding and the 45s and the angles and the opposites, and yeah, that's not for me. That's for someone else. I'm the kind of guy that'll come in and dig a ditch from the front of the house all the way to the back before anybody has coffee. That's not to say I don't know how to do all that stuff, because I do. It's just not what I would consider interesting. Can you imagine taping and mudding an entire house, doing all that sanding? It's mind-numbing. There's no challenge in it whatsoever. So I guess that's really it. Something has to be a challenge, and I don't look at finish work as a challenge. It can be. There are guys that are super talented at that stuff, and passion shows, you know? This trailer sure does take up an awful lot of space. Why do I keep it in the garage? Well, there's some green truck body parts on it that are protected and tarped, but underneath those there's a very special surprise. It's one of the biggest builds that we've done on the channel so far, and by biggest I don't mean complexity or what it would be worth or any of that. I'm talking about large in size. This is going to be a giant thing, and it's crazy that I'm even trying it, but it's getting done. So underneath some of that is the surprise. It's coming, so stay tuned. I've also got to clean all of that because that's going back on after the carpet, and then these are also going on after the carpet, but they've got to be wire wheeled and painted. All this stuff does. Same with this. This is the trans tunnel. I got to get this cleaned, painted, and then covered with that sound deadener, the kill mat. So yeah, there's plenty more of that. Yeah, there's a really cool song on. It's Paul Gilbert. It's on the Dio tribute album. This is Man on the Silver Mountain from the Rainbow Days, and let me tell you, that song, he plays the vocal melody with his guitar, and it's awesome. Like, I would love to play that song. So yeah, let me get this off so I can keep working. One at a time, one little piece at a time. Whatever. You know that feeling when you're on roller skates all day and you take them off and you feel all weird? I've been crouching in this thing for so long. That's exactly how I feel. When I stand up, I feel like I'm still bent. Get bent. You're getting there. Feels great. So comfortable. I sure am crying a lot in this one, ain't I? go. All this work for sound and heat, and this has no gasket on it. You go through a big puddle and water's coming in. So I have this channel rubber that I'm going to make a gasket. I have to cut it all the way down to have enough. And then I'm going to contact cement it just like you do door rubbers. And then I'll have a seal. Yeah. And once this is down, I'll put some kill mat on it. I got the carpet. I've been keeping it inside, and it's very cool in there. I gotta lay all this stuff out on this trailer. It's not hot today. I need it to be hot. All of this carpet needs to be soft. Right now it's as stiff as cardboard. But this is mostly the interior carpet, except for the kick panels and the trim and some other crap. But yeah, I'm hoping that number one, it doesn't blow away. And number two, it softens up by the end of the day. All right, really, you lay this out in the sun and it'll help, but the way they get them perfect is with a steamer, and I don't have that. So that's one of those specialty interior tools. None of this is bolted permanent. It's just laying in here. I'm gonna roll it outside when it gets warmer and let the sun bake on it for a while. That'll soften it all up. I've still got a ton of stuff to do, but at least that part's done, and I can lay in here now and get underneath the dash for all the wiring. It's definitely starting to flatten out, and we really haven't even set it out in the heat yet. Normally they have a steam tool that drags like steam, almost like a dry cleaner press, that conforms this carpet, but I think time and heat should do it. But I got the kick panels in, which they look pretty good. Obviously this whole truck's gonna have to have, when the painters get it, they're gonna have to have all new rubber seals between everything. All the doors have seals that go over top of it, around the inside. All the glass will have to come out. But for right now, we wanna get it running and driving. You know, I ain't worried about the rubber molding and the fit and finish of the top, because quite honestly, you can see daylight through it. So let's get the thing to run and drive and get it to look presentable, and then the painters can always pick it up, do all of the glass and the rubber seals, and make it happy. Because when you paint them, you got to tear all that off anyway. See the size of that? It's like the size of a pencil eraser with it's a nut. It goes on these threaded studs. You see why I don't like interiors? This is nonsense. Yep. Imagine doing this with the interior put together. I can feel bare metal slicing into my fingers right now. Yeah. You're doing it blindfolded. I'm doing it by feel. It's up under a ledge. I got it. I still have to come back with a tool and tighten it. I got about 10 more. Yeah. Great. Well, for as much crying about it as I do, it sure is starting to look like something, isn't it? Check that out. That's so awesome. It's the 4 low. It's the electronic transfer case shifter. This will probably end up going in here, but I don't know. It might go in the console. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not mounting that yet. And I've got a ton of wiring to do. I mean, just a ton. So, but overall, I'm pretty freaking happy. It's starting to really look like something. That's reasonably satisfying. But realistically, we are drive shafts, brakes, a fuel system away from moving this truck under its own power again, which is so exciting. Read this installation manual from front to back before installing this harness. Actually, I'm just kidding. There's some valuable information on here. I keep them, but I've probably done 10 of these, so it's gonna be okay, I promise. First thing I want to do is get this fuse box mounted up under there. Get the wires strung out to the ends that they're going to be used. So I'm going to save you a bunch of trouble. And for the next like many hours, I'm going to be messing with this, and it's not exciting. I've done other videos where I showed and explained everything I was doing, and honestly, if you're brave enough to take this on, you don't need my help. Looks like an awful lot to get done today. Something I've been meaning to do for quite a while now is get this front clip reassembled. There's so many things that need to get put in here that you can't do if the body's not on, because if you put it in the wrong place, you follow? I want to get this mocked up today, all loosely screwed together and hanging back on the truck. That's a goal. We've got new body mounts everywhere. These are going to be higher than the worn out ones that were on here, and the truck itself is going to have body mounts put on them. So once that happens, they'll line up. For right now, because these are all new on the front, when I put these fenders on, these quarters, they're probably going to be like that because the front is higher with the new rubber. It may or may not, I don't know, but they correct that with shims. You basically space the whole body, which is definitely a body shop thing. So, but for me to build the compartment and the running, driving vehicle, I have to have this on. So let's do that. All this stuff was out back. I pressure washed it, of course. Yeah, this would be way better because now I can see where to put my power steering unit. I can see how to plumb everything. I can start getting my wires laid out. All of these parts are screwed in. They're secure, but they're not roadworthy because the body shop's going to take them apart to paint them. So I'm going to make sure everything I do is able to be unfastened and laid aside so that they can properly paint all these pieces. But yeah, the goal for today is to push this outside. I got to get it outside. We have a big, huge axle, 1 ton, 8 lug axle with 8 piston calipers. Wait till you see that thing. That's a massive, massive job. And I have the trailers full of all the parts. So I need to get this in a position where it can move and take it outside, then I can uncrate that other stuff, which will be an upcoming episode. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that and follow along, because what comes after this, we have the green truck, which is Coyote swapped already. There's a bunch of wiring and fuel, and that's gonna get out on the road. But the big deal is that massive axle. What am I gonna do with an 8-lug, 1-ton front axle? You'll see. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. I want the bumpers on so I can stop storing them. These fenders, these front fenders were down in my son's room in the basement. So's the hood. But I want to get all this stuff on and get the truck outside and get cleaned up. Oh, it's starting to come together. The front bumper's awesome. The back bumper was bent. The new bumper doesn't have the same measurements at all, so apparently LMC truck, again, is a champion of my life. And I say that facetiously because LMC truck is a pain in my life. Pain in my ass. LMC gets it wrong more than they get it right. That's what it ought to be called. It's a heavy truck. I think it'll roll right out. Wouldn't that be crazy if I tried to put it out and it hit the ceiling? I knew the door. I did math. I knew it would fit. Can you imagine? Lift it and then you can't get it out? But, you know, it's just like those guys that build entire boats inside their basement, you know, piece by piece. It can be done. But this will roll right out. And I'm sitting up 4 or 5 inches right now. So let me get these out, drag this truck outside for the first time in many months. Okay, that's going to have to do it for this episode. We've got this engine running. We got the drive shafts ordered. They are making them right now. I'm going to start doing brakes. We've got the radius arms for the front suspension. Those need to come in. So we're getting so much closer to getting this on the road. Hopefully next episode you will see this truck move under its own power. Maybe even take it down the street. Open headers, of course. I don't know yet, but we got a lot to do. Thanks for tuning in. As always, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks. I'll see you soon.